Awesome. Thank you. Good afternoon. So as Nicole said during the intro, Transferwise and Twilio have kind of partnered up to integrate Twilio 2FA to keep our customers' money safe. So first, a little bit about us. My name's Ed. I'm a product manager at Transferwise working on security.
And I'm Artyom, software engineer, also working on security.
So for those who don't know what Transferwise is an international peer-to-peer money transfer platform. We are able to move money around the world faster, more conveniently, and cheaper than banks, sometimes up to 8 times cheaper and faster. So every month we move over 1.2 billion pounds of customers' funds between over 50 countries. And with this comes great responsibility, naturally, with this much money. So Transferwise has grown pretty rapidly over the last few years. And so we've seen over the last 2 years our transfer volumes double. We've seen our employee count go up. We've seen the range of countries that we transfer money to and from also go up significantly. But really interestingly as well is that over the last 12 months, the security landscape for Transferwise has changed dramatically, and as it has for a lot of fintech companies. So in the beginning, up until about 12 months ago, user authentication was not a critical part of Transferwise's security model. So for those who don't know how Transferwise works, a customer comes to our website, they say that they want to move money from one country to another, and then they would traditionally go back to their bank and then send Transferwise the money from their bank to our bank account, and we would handle the rest. So in that scenario, Transferwise isn't really taking money directly from people's credit cards or their bank accounts. So the emphasis was not necessarily placed on user authentication because we didn't have important data or payment data stored on the customer. But that's changed dramatically. So now people can send money over saved credit and debit cards. But we've also rolled out a new type of account at Transferwise, a borderless bank account where we're storing money, and similar to PayPal and similar to a traditional bank account. And so with our growth as well, we've actually become really popular with users. Our user count has gone up and become really popular with not just users, but also botnets. So effectively, what drove that is that Transferwise accounts became more valuable. As we started holding balance, as we started holding stored card details, we became a much bigger target for malicious actors to come in and try and get into user accounts. It's not uncommon for us to see botnets of 40,000 different and unique IP addresses trying to run credential stuffing attacks on us or attempting to hit particular endpoints. So suddenly the security model shifted dramatically to user authentication and protecting those endpoints. Externally as well, we're seeing some pretty big regulatory changes coming through for fintech companies and all financial institutions with PSD2, Payment Services Directive 2 legislation, coming in across the EU and the UK that is kind of mandating strong customer authentication to authorize transactions and to authorize account access. And so this has forced us really rapidly to rethink how we do security, which is what has led us to today. So we started with SMS. When we launched our borderless account, we recognized holes in our infrastructure. And so when we launched our borderless accounts, we started with SMS. But we ran into some problems with that prohibit our growth and actually drive a lot of customer contacts. So we call this account borderless. But inherently, SMS is not borderless authentication. So we have a borderless bank account without borderless authentication. As a lot of our customers actually roam across multiple countries, they have multiple SIM cards, so an authentication method that is bound to a geographically restricted phone number is not ideal for our customers. And SMS is also not very secure or convenient. If you didn't catch B's talk this morning on account security and SS7, I highly encourage you to check out the video of that when it goes live because he goes into great detail on the security threats around SMS. We also had to think about TOTP. So Totp tokens are great. We see them a lot with Google Authenticator, but they are really difficult for us to use with the changing regulatory environment. In that SCA mandates that transactions are authorized by a specific code. And a time-based token is not specific to that exact transaction without a few workarounds. In addition, our user base at Transferwise tends to skew older than perhaps a traditional tech company. And so with that, getting them to download another app, getting them to familiar with this concept of what a time-based token is, was kind of a bit too inconvenient. And so in thinking about this, we actually went back to the basics around user authentication and 2FA. So the fundamental goal of user authentication is to prevent account takeovers. That's, for us, the way that Transferwise views the world, that is where the threat comes. If someone gains access to an account and gains access to customer funds, that's game over for us as a company. Because we can be the fastest, we can be the most convenient, we can have the best product for moving money from point A to point B, but if we lose our customers' trust through account takeovers or data breaches, then it doesn't matter. And now, over 50% of our transfers are actually happening on mobile apps. So it made sense. This is kind of all the factors that went into our thinking around 2FA. So I'm going to hand over to Artyom now to go through why we chose Twilio when building 2FA.
Thank you. So why we actually chose Twilio, or for that matter, any other vendor to help us with that. Of course, we can build it ourselves. The question is, why would we? Is it our primary goal? No, our primary goal is to transfer money and to make it fast and reliable for our customers. Security is just a part of the experience that customer hopefully never should see. So finding a vendor is another hard part. You don't want just anybody who would supply you any 2FA solution and just go with it. It needs to be capable of understanding your needs. Vendor also should know what's going on in the current sector of the business. And most importantly, it should look forward. So another hard part about choosing vendor is, does it have seamless integration? Do your customer see that there is some other app or some other party participating in that? Yes, with GDPR too, with GDPR, you're telling all that to a customer, but whenever a customer comes to your product, it should stay in the same ecosystem. Everything should be handled seamlessly for it. So one of the reasoning behind actually Twilio is we're not a security company. We're not building the 2FA solutions. We're a money transferring company and financial institution. So support from your partner to say that, oh, we helped so many different companies to scale their security solutions is important, because without it, you're going to make so many mistakes that would basically drive your customers away.
Cool. So at Transferwise, we believe that customers come first. Customers, team, ego. So when we think about building products, everything from user authentication down to the emails that we write customers, everything we do comes from a customer-first mindset. And so in building authentication, it's driven by this. Security features are useless if no one uses them, right? It's pretty basic. If no one bothers to take up 2FA, it may as well not be there. The other factor as well is that security is a product. It isn't just a feature that's bolted onto the side. When someone contacts customer support, for example, and they have to go through some kind of identity verification, that's part of your security product. When customers have to log into mobile app, that's part of your security product. When customers get emails about account changes, that's part of your security product. It's an all-encompassing thing. It isn't just one little thing. It isn't just like checking a password in a database. It's actually quite deep and intrinsic to how customers engage. I like to think of it this way. Login and user authentication is the one feature of Transferwise that every single person is going to use. There's every single person that visits us, and in fact, just about any startup, is going to engage with your security. And so you need to treat it as a very critical and valuable part of your product. But in thinking through 2FA, you have to think about where the weak link shifts to. It isn't necessarily about the algorithm you use to protect passwords in your database, but actually, with 2FA, people become the weakest link in your security. So the moment you introduce 2FA, you have to start thinking through things like how people verify their identity over the phone. How do people recover their devices if they lose them, or recover access to their account if they lose their device, their registered device? And so social engineering becomes something that you need to consider and need to work with your customer support teams really closely to work out. So I'm going to show you quickly what it actually looks like and what the experience of using Twilio 2FA looks like with Transferwise. So slowed it down a little bit so we can talk through it. So a customer comes, they connect with Facebook or enter username and password, and we instantly send an approval request to their trusted device. So in the background, we've recognized that they're using Twilio 2FA. All they need to do now is open up the Transferwise app, and it's a registered device, and it's a simple yes or no. Do you approve this login? And that's it. We couldn't actually slow it down any further. And so then they are immediately taken into the account. It's a really seamless experience. So the customer does not have to enter any codes. This is a really big deal. The channel is secondary, so we're actually getting and verifying the approval request through Twilio, not through our own backend, so it actually makes it more secure. Twilio has got some outstanding technology around public and private key security and protections that mean that even if the user is logged out, they can actually still use it as a registered device because the two channels are very separate. So it's a very seamless customer experience. And so we avoid all the security pitfalls of SMS. We actually drive adoption of the iOS app and the Android app, which is big for us because we see that as a growing channel. And we're able to deliver that seamless customer experience that Artyom spoke about. So with that in mind, how did we actually build it?
So yeah, you already saw how it ended up. And now the part where we spend months is on planning and delivering it. So one of the background things about Transferwise and how we build our products right now is we are currently on the crossroad, maybe changing, evolving from one big monolithic app to a lot of tiny microservices. That means that most of the solution, especially regarding the user experience and authentication, we have to develop in multiple places at the same time. So that leaves us with one huge monolithic app, microservice, and two mobile apps. The ideal solution for us if our partner have some libraries for all of our platforms. So we don't have to think how we build REST API on different languages and with different support. Gladly, Twilio provided us just with that. Native iOS, native Android, native backend. That gave us ability to move fast without thinking how to build REST API and how to connect all apps in the same way. One of the important things for us is we are a global company and we work lots of time independently. But that also means that we also always have to stay together as a team. Waiting for a backend to be finished while client side can't be tested is a long process and can drive your development time 3-4 times. That's why the Twilio had a perfect solution for us. We had a backend that can develop APIs at the same while the backend engineers use AuthApp to test OneTouch, to test Totp, to test every feature that we possibly can develop. Whereas mobile clients can actually use example backend that was provided by Twilio to do exactly the same thing, but from front-end side. And eventually, what we would end up with is this. So just removing the API, fixing some bugs, removing some constraints, and we have throwing away AuthApp and example backend. We have one seamless integration of Transferwise user experience, Transferwise app, and our own backend. As I already said, customer comes to visit your product. So for us, it was really important to have full control. Full control is not only means UI and branding, it also means controlling your bugs and your development cycles. Every time there is a problem, if you provide customer with Totp from allowing using some random apps like Google Authenticator or whatever solutions out there, you introduce some problems that would take you days or weeks to solve. If there is a problem with login and customer uses some app you never heard about, that means you have to go to this app and see like whether the synchronization is right. Is the flow actually working for you, or you just can't support the app? So the full control helps us identify bugs faster, fix faster, and deliver value faster. One of the important things about Twilio technical support is that there is always somebody who can help you. During our development process, we stumbled upon few bugs or few problems on our side, but because we can just submit a ticket or give a call, we always had a feedback and say, okay, you're doing this wrong or you're doing this wrong. But at the same time, there were some features that we wish at the beginning we wanted to see in the product that was actually delivered to us really fast. Authy app, although we don't use Authy app, but it was an amazing product for us to test on. Even after integrating backend and mobile clients, there's sometimes problems with somewhere bug, and especially if we are all testing on our own devices and we all use Transferwise. Sometimes we just couldn't log into our app, basically. And that's where we can just use Authy app to prevent that from happening, or just test if there's a problem on mobile client, on the back end, we can identify problem much faster. So currently we are rolling out to beta testers. We're working closely with customer support to provide the 2FA function to the customers who requested it, well, as soon as we rolled out SMS, really. And we're doing gradual rollout. Give us a shout if you want to test it. Rolling out to 100% of users is going to happen in the next few months, really. And the most important part of it is, again, having this full control of the environment. We can learn on our customers. We can learn with our customers and listen to them and fix things much faster than with any third-party solution. Ed, where to next?
So, in working with Twilio, we've actually found a few different areas where we can leverage the product throughout more of Transferwise. So the intelligence API is a really great product that we're able to see phone numbers or see customer behavior and how it might, and we can actually feed those insights back to our fraud team. So effectively, when you think about Transferwise and security, we have user authentication right at the front, but then we also have fraud and money laundering right at the back. And so being able to link user behavior and user attributes at the authentication stage back to behaviors in the, for fraud and AML and anti-money laundering purposes means that we actually gain this full picture of a user and their behavior in the application to be better at that. And of course, not just for login, right? Like, given PSD2 and strong customer authentication, given GDPR, given a lot of, like, the changing landscape around security, we will be rolling out One Touch to authorize individual transactions, to authorize changes to specific account details. So it's basically going to become a very critical part of the experience at Transferwise. Our mission at Transferwise is to make money transfer convenient, instant, eventually free, and to enable it everywhere in the world, any country, between any two people or two entities. And so having a mobile-first security solution that is borderless by definition is critical to achieving that goal. So, to wrap up, Twilio 2FA has enabled us to focus on what we do best, which is moving money between two places. It's enabled us to be confident in protecting our customers' accounts. and to limit our risk of account takeovers dramatically. As we roll this out over the next few months, we will, of course, be iterating on it, listening to our customers, working out the best approaches on how we can do seamless account recovery, and also working internally to roll this out to as many product teams as possible so that they can leverage it. Working with Twilio has been incredibly easy. Their support has been outstanding. They're not paying me to say that, I mean that. And so that's enabled us to focus on our customers, and that's the most important thing for us. So we're going to be hanging around for the rest of the day. There's a lot of nuance to how we had to integrate it in terms of moving into a big monolithic Java application that I'm sure a lot of people might be familiar with or thinking about at larger companies. Happy to talk through that and talk through our experiences. And yeah, like we said, if you want to help test it, if you're a Transferwise customer or want to be a Transferwise customer, come and talk to us afterwards and we'll make that happen. Thank you.